Hey everybody, welcome to Board Game Heaven. My name is Raymond, and in this video I'll be taking a look at Letter Jam by Andras Kupi, published by Czech Games Edition. And this is a game for 2 to 6 players where you cooperatively try to guess your letters. It's a word game, it's very clever. So I'll start with unboxing the game and showing you what's inside. Then I'll explain how to set up and play the game, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. Letter Jam by Czech Games Edition. So let's take a look at this box. It's a plain white box with a strawberry on it with all kinds of letters there. Letter Jam. And on the back of the box, it kind of tells you what kind of game it is. So every player has a letter that they cannot see themselves, and you have to make them guess that letter. Right? So yeah. That's the box. Let's open it up. So inside the box, there's no insert because there's all these loose components. We get 6 pencils, brand new black pencils, so you can sharpen those and use them. And so the game does play up to, let's see again, up to 6 players. So yeah, plenty of pencils for everybody. Then we have these standees to put your cards in, because you have to put them in front of yourselves. So there should be a couple more in here as well. Hey, there's even a sharpener in here to sharpen your pencils. That is brilliant. Super well done, people. So that's really cool. There's another one, and there's another one. It should be 6. So we get 6 of these. Then we have these nice looking colored discs in green and red. Very nice. Just keep them in the bag for now. There's an extra empty bag to put in the cards, I assume. And we have these really nice poker chips, really heavy, just like in Splendor. These big and heavy plastic chips with fruit and numbers on them. So we have the strawberry is the 1. We have the orange is number 2. The lemon is the yellow 3. The lime is the 4. The kiwi is the green 5. So this looks like a berry, a blueberry, I think. Number 6. Yeah, this is a difficult one. So what's the 7? Is that like a passion fruit or something? No idea. And 8. Yeah, I forgot the English word for this typical kind of berry. Right. So you have those, and then you get these cards. All right, so several of these cards. I assume that's the number of players that are playing. Tells you, oh, that's where you put those, I assume. So different flowers. That's interesting. All right. We get the cards, of course, in a shrink wrap. So I'll just take that off. This plastic foil. There we go. So we have all kinds of letters there. So yeah, all the letters of the alphabet in here. And the back just says Letter Jam. So this is a different one. It has an asterisk, and the rest are white. Have a white back with some UV, a spot UV on it. That's pretty cool, as you can see. Yeah, strawberry. All right, so those are the cards. Then we get these notepads, a big pad of these notes with letters. You can cross those off or circle them, whatever. So yeah, you need to use those as well. There's a little CGE catalog with all their games, Trat Words, Pictomania, Sanctum, Pulsar, all the known games. There's Adrenaline and the DLC. Code names, of course. Quite a lot of games already. Letter Jam, that's a question. Well, that's nice. So you can check out the next game you can get from CGE. And all the way at the bottom are the rules. So the rule book, and you can actually get an overview of how to play it there as well. But please stay put, stay here, and I'll explain it to you as well. So yep, there's the setup. the gameplay, and the end of the game, scoring, and a frequently asked questions section. All right, cool. Let's set up a game. To set up a game of letter jam, you simply take all the components, put the chips on the table, put these tokens on the table, and depending on the number of players, so let's say this is a 4-player game, you take the card with the 4 in the top here, and you just put all the other ones away, and then you put the tokens on these as indicated. So I've got 4 red ones, basically 1 for each player, and I've got 7 of these green ones, and you just put them on the card like so, and that's that. You can take the other ones and just put them away. Every player also takes one of these scoring pads and a sharpened pencil and one of these stands. Shuffle all the letter cards, put the wild card, which has a black backside, just in the middle of the table, and then take the shuffled cards and roughly deal out a number of cards equal to each of the players. So you may end up with a small stack of cards. So each player then looks at those cards, and then you're trying to make a 5-letter word with all of these cards. So let's say, for example, what can I do here? Maybe I can make the word treat. So I've got the word treat. So I'm not showing that to the others. I can discard all the other cards, shuffle them back into the deck at the end when everybody has a word. So I take these letters and I give those a little shuffle, and I give those cards to the player to my right. So that player now has these cards, and they simply put them out in front of them without looking. So then the player to my left will hand me 5 cards, which also form a word. I'm not allowed to see that, so I just put them in front of myself as well, like so. And then you take your first card and you put it into the stand facing away from yourself. You're not allowed to see what your letter is. You'll only see the back of that, and keep the other ones in order. Now the setup card also shows you a number here at the bottom. This says a 7 and an 8, and that means you take the remaining 2 of these tokens, and from the remaining cards you take 7 cards and 8 cards, and you place those cards on top of that token like so, and these will be the non-players, and the rest of the cards are simply put in the middle of the table again. And those 2 non-player decks also get a stand, so you're always using all 6 of these stands, and you take the first card of their decks and put them out for everyone to see. And every player does the same, so they take their first card, put it on the table, and then the second player, third player, this is my card, and the 2 non-player cards over there. So there will always be 6 cards on the table, and you will be able to see 5 of them and not your own. That's the whole setup. Now you're ready to play. The goal of the game is to cooperatively figure out your own word. So everybody has to figure out their own secret word here by writing down clues. And every round, players will look at all the letters that they can see, and they will try and make up a word that they can make with that. So I could make the word suit or lust or something, but I'm trying to incorporate all the letters, except my own, of course, because I can't see that one. So you, to yourself, you make up a word, and every player does that, and then you kind of discuss which player is going to be the clue giver. So you can say how many letters you can put into your clue, and you can also say how many of the players that will help. So you can say, well, I can make a 4-letter word that will help 4 different players, including the non-players. You can, however, not say which one of them you might have included. You can also include the wild card for any letter, but once you pick a letter for this, then that letter
is that. So you can use that letter multiple times by placing multiple tokens on it, but it's still the same letter. So for example, I might think I can make the word suits out of these, but then I would be using these two, but not that player, and that's more important. So I could say, okay, maybe I can make the word stilts, you know, S-T-I-L-T-S. All right, so that's a 6-letter word using all 3 other players than myself and 1 of the non-players. And then the other players will give their clues, and at some point you're gonna have to decide which player will give their clue. So if all players decide that, you know, I've got the best possible clue, 6 letters, and using all the players, then okay, I will take these chips and I'll say, okay, so I won't say the word, but it's stilts, so I can't say it. So the first letter is the S, and I place it T, I, the L, the T, and the S. Leave these 2 on the side. So without saying the words, I just put these chips down, and you can also say, you know, I'm not using the wild card, which is also a good thing, but you can use that, of course. So then all the players look at the clue that's been given, and they can write down the letters corresponding to the numbers on here. So the 1 is an S, so can I put the S? So the other players will be able to write down the entire word except for their own letter. So this player might write down SDI, unknown, TS. So they might guess, well, it's probably going to be stilts, right? So they write down an L for their letter. So they could guess, okay, so my first card here is going to be an L, and they write that down. If they're 100% sure of that, they can actually take this card, say, okay, I think I know my letter, put it down, take the second card, and put it up. It's again an L. So I could give the same clue on the next round. Now the first player to have given a clue takes a red token off of that card. Second time, the same player gives a clue, they take a green one. So the game kind of wants every player to take at least 1 turn. So the red ones are removed because those are worth no points at the end of the game. If you have any green ones left at the end of the game, they are an extra point. So then play continues, and at some point, you know, another player will have taken a turn that will have given me a clue, and I will have to guess what my word is. So maybe I know what this is, write that down, put down the second card without looking, of course. And play continues like that. So people are continuously trying to make up words, make the words as big as possible to include all the players. Maybe you need to use a wild card now and then. And if you have the promo 9 chip, you can even make 9-letter words. And at some point, everybody will have hopefully taken a turn and some extra turns. And then maybe you will have guessed all of your letters. You're down to your last letter, and you've guessed that, and that's it. So then you've written down all of those letters, and you're thinking, okay, we've got 5 letters here, and I'm just gonna quickly cheat and see what they were, because I didn't remember. Oh, look, it's songs. It's coincidentally in a good order. So I can actually make a word with that. So maybe they were in a different order. Maybe they were like this. And I'm like, okay, what can I do with that? Okay, I can make the word songs with that on paper. So you write that down, and then you reorder your cards in that order, and then you flip them over. You say, okay, I think I got the word songs. You flip over your card, and there it is. That's songs. Great, you've scored points. And then all the players do that once everybody has written down their 5th letter. And that's basically it. Now, late in the game, some players may have already guessed all of their letters, and they'll be out of letters, out of cards to put on their stand. Now, what then happens is you draw the top card from the deck of remaining letters and put that in your stand without looking. Then, whenever another player uses your card to give a clue, you can still continue and try to guess that letter. That's why there are extra spaces here. And if you guess it correctly, you simply guess, oh, I think I have an E, and it is an E. Then you take that card and you put it in the middle of the table along with the wild card, and that will be an additional letter that you can use for the rest of the game. And then when talking about the clue you can possibly give, you can also say, well, I've got a 6-letter word using 3 out of 4 of the players, but I can also use the E in the middle of the table there. And then after it has been used in a clue for something, then it is discarded. Same with the non-player cards. After every round where one of these, and then in my example it was stilts, so I used it twice, then doesn't matter how many times, then that card is also discarded, and the next card from that stack is then used. And of course, when the final card from the stack has been used, then the green clue token is revealed, and you can use that on your card, indicating that you have basically earned an additional clue. And also, once this stack is empty and the last card has been used, you again take a new card from the deck of remaining cards and treat it just like a bonus letter. Now the game can end in 2 ways. If you end a round with no clue tokens for the next round, then the game is over. Or the game ends with leftover tokens if everyone decides they don't need any more clues. And like I said, you try to guess your word and you flip over the cards making that word. You can also use any bonus letters that are on the table, or even the wild card, to help and make a longer word with the letters that you have than the original word that was given to you. So if you were given the word table, for example, and there is an S or a wild card, you could say, well, I can make tables and make your word longer. And if all players guessed their word correctly, you will have won the game. And then if you like, at the end of the game, you can count up your letter jam score. So incorrect words score 1 point for each of the original letters guessed correctly. So that's it, and then incorrect letters don't score anything. For a correctly spelled word, you score 3 times its original length, plus 1 point per letter beyond that length if you used bonus letters, and plus 1 point for each available green token that's left on the setup card. And then you just simply count up all the numbers from all the players, and you look at the back of the card, and depending on which range your final score was in, you score either 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 delicious strawberries. And that's how you play Letter Jam. Let's go to my final thoughts. So my final thoughts about Letter Jam by Czech Games Edition. Let's start with the presentation of the game. You get, of course, a whole bunch of these cards, which are nicely made. They have a good quality, nothing special. They come in black and white, so you have a very good contrast, and you can see those letters very easily. There's a big deck of those, so that's good as well. You get, which I like, a pack of pencils, which you, of course, need to keep score and write down your letters on these. And there's plenty of these sheets to use, so you can play a lot of games before this runs out. And you can, of course, laminate a couple if you want to keep some. And the game even comes with a pencil sharpener to sharpen those pencils every time. And that is just fantastic. Which game does that? They actually included a pencil sharpener. Well done. I like these clear plastic stands, which work very well. They hold on to your card very nicely, so it doesn't fall off, but they don't grip it that tightly so you damage your card. You won't see any, indentations on the card if you slip it in and then take it off again. So the cards are good enough quality that they can take this, and it's tight enough to stay on, but not too tight. So that's good as well. Not that it really matters, but that's just very well done. I also like the fact that they gave you these cards with these flower illustrations on them to put these tokens on. The tokens themselves are very nice. They come in red and green, and they kind of look like candy, but don't eat them. And it tells you, in a 6-player game, you need 6 red tokens and 5 green ones. Because, in a 6-player game, you're trying to get, in any game, you're trying to get everyone to take a turn. Because every time a player takes their first turn as the clue giver, they take a red token, and the red tokens aren't worth anything at the end of the game. The green ones are. So if you can manage to do a full round with everybody taking a turn, everybody guessing their letter, you could be done and you could have all these green ones left. So the game, tries to get everyone to take a turn. That's good. Tries to do that, and they just thought, well, let's just make a physical card and draw a flower where you can actually put those tokens on. I think that's just a fun little extra. And on the back of that same card, you can see how well you scored if you count up your scored points. So that's well done as well. It's just a little bit, an extra that they added to the game that wasn't really necessary. They could have just printed that in the rule book, but they did it anyway, just a bit extra. And of course, the beautiful, beautiful fruit-themed tokens here in all the colors of the rainbow. They all look like sliced fruits. They look yummy and beautiful, and they are a very good quality. They are the kind of chips that you get in Splendor as well. So they're nice and sturdy, and they make nice sound when you tap them together, and that's just fantastic. Those could have been cardboard tokens as well, but they went, beyond and just made these really, really nice chips. And that does help sell the game. The presentation of the game does make this really, really nice. So that takes me to the gameplay, because there's not a whole lot I can say about theme. There's fruit and there's letter jam. Okay, that's funny, but it's a word game. So the gameplay is just very clever. I love the gameplay. It's a cooperative game, which I like. It's a word game, which I like. It's a party game, which I like. And that just makes for a very good combination. And I just think it's really cool that you're seeing all these letters except your own, and you're trying to make as big a word as possible out of those letters, because then the clue will be easier. You can use the wild card, and you can use cards twice, and you're trying to make as big a word as possible, with 8 letters, with the standard amount of chips you get, or if you have the promo number 9 chip, you can even make a bigger word. So, people are trying to all think of a word, and then you decide, well, I can make a word that's 4 letters long using 3 of your letters. Oh, but I can make a word that's 5 letters long using all the words. Okay, well, then you take a turn. But you do want to try and give everyone a go, of course. I just really like that. That's just very clever. Very cleverly done indeed. Finally, there's the language dependency. I don't see any language dependency in this game. It's technically language independent, because you just get letters of the alphabet and that's it. And you can make words in whatever language you want. But of course, every country has its own language and will probably use certain letters more often than in another language, or some letters less. So the game is being localized. I know that the Dutch version is published by White Goblin Games, but I did play this edition by Czech Games Edition with Dutch friends, and we played in Dutch. We did not have a problem, but I would guess that each localization has a different number of certain letters in the deck. So I would advise to pick up the game in your preferred language, even though the game itself technically is language independent. And I'd like to thank Czech Games Edition for giving me this game at Spiel. Big thumbs up for that. So in the end, I had a whole lot of fun with this game. I'm absolutely giving this a big 2 thumbs up, and that's it. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, also give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you hit the bell icon, you'll also get a notification whenever I upload a new video to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Heaven.